Good morning, and good evening, and good day to everyone. Welcome to our webinar of Innovative Agriculture Trends, Technology, and Regulatory Shifts. I'm your host, Bojan Mijatovic, a global market analyst in the Market Intelligence Department here at Tridge. We have a very diverse group here today at various time zones across the world, and we are very excited to have you join us today. We look forward to a lively discussion on the topic and encourage participants to post any questions on the live chat section. First of all, let me say a couple of things about Tridge and its trade solution and how it helps global agribusiness. Tridge Trade Solution is a premier global business-to-business marketplace designed specifically for the agribusiness sector, aiming to seamlessly connect buyers and suppliers and foster long-term relationships grounded in trust. Our robust two-way trust system ensures credibility and reliability by thoroughly verifying both buyers and suppliers, saving you time and protecting you from fraudulent activities. Our trust successful long-term businesses and social marketplace environment nurtures and sustains partnerships. Additionally, Tridge harnesses global agri-data to offer complex recommendation systems, reliable analytics, and actionable intelligence, empowering your business decisions with accurate and timely information. As you all know, if you previously attended one of our webinars, we will provide you with a certificate of attendance. The certificate is only available if you fill out our survey, which will be shared after the presentation. Please fill out the survey and provide feedback to help us improve the webinars and our information and services. Additionally, the presentation and the recordings of the webinar will be available in 3 business days. Thank you for joining us, and let's go through the agenda. To briefly go over the agenda for today, we will look over current trends in innovative agriculture, regulatory shifts impacting trade, as well as Sylvester Sadeka presentation on sustainable post-harvest processing technologies for dried food commodities and firm-level adoption, a critical review by his side. And finally, we will come to the panel discussion. As previously I introduced myself, I'm your host, Bojan Mijatovic, a global market analyst here at Tridge. I will be guiding this webinar, and also I encourage you for a live discussion on the chat section. Please post your questions related to the topic to our speakers, and we'll try to answer them after the panel discussion. Let's meet our speakers. Today we have an impressive team of experts that will help us analyze innovative agriculture trends and present interesting technology improvements. First, we have Mzinge Nubivwa. Sorry, MZ, if I pronounced it incorrectly. He is a global market analyst based in South Africa. MZ will be presenting the Tridge view on innovative ways and regulatory shifts currently trending on our platform. We also have Sylvester Sadekla, researchers from Technical University of Munich, presenting the sustainable post-harvest processing technologies. Also, during our panel discussion, we will have Giselle Landaeta, Tridge Global Trading Manager from Italy, and Ore Luaora from Technical University in Munich, postdoctoral researcher, answering panel discussion questions. This will help us dive into some of the key aspects of innovating technology in their field of expertise. So now we will welcome MZ, who will present on innovative agriculture trends and regulatory shifts. Hi, MZ. Stage is set, and please take over the spotlight.
Okay, thank you so much, Bojan, and thank you so much for everyone who's joining us today. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at the scope of what's happening regarding innovative agriculture and regulatory shifts, and we are going to also see how Tridge approaches this issue and how we provide value to our stakeholders in equipping them with enough tools to be able to navigate this particular dynamic. So initially, I'm just going to build on what Boyan said regarding Tridge and what we do. Boyan, please go to the next slide, please.
Yes.
So what's important to know is that at Tridge we basically have two arms that work hand in hand. So the one side is the intelligence side, and the other side is the trade side. So this is important for us because on the intelligence side, we provide, for example, data and analytics and the insights, which then interpret that data to our stakeholders so that our stakeholders are able to then make informative moves, in the industry. And this is where the trade side comes in. So we monitor all the different innovations within the agricultural landscape, and then we inform our clients and our stakeholders so that they're able to equip themselves by anticipating what's coming and being able to react and adapt to whatever is presented in the market. So now we're just going to go over a brief overview of the topic so we have a general idea of what we're going to be looking at, and then we'll specify more particularly how Tridge has been approaching this issue. So innovation in agriculture, as we all know, is something that has become very important for everyone who's involved in throughout the supply chain, from the growers all the way to the consumers. And one of the main reasons is to tackle the issue of food scarcity. There's a growing demand for food and beverage products globally. And this is because of a variety of issues, from rising population to sustainability issues, to also climate-related issues that have affected, the production of certain foodstuffs and so on and so forth. And this is where innovation comes in now to try and curtail some of those problems and make sure that the food demands are met globally. When we look at some of the benefits that come with certain innovations, it goes back to tackling this issue of demand, and increased yields is the main benefit that we derive from this. So it's a two-ended issue. On the one end, it's to increase productivity where productivity is already positive. Then on the other end is also to curtail certain problems that arise from productivity issues. For example, there is an issue that is currently occurring right now in the US regarding the orange yield and the problem that they have with the citrus greening issue, which has affected the yield, especially in Florida, but to a certain extent in California as well. So now innovation plays a very important role, because now a lot of the researchers and scientists are looking for ways to curtail the spread of citrus greening so that they can then start to yield a crop which is significant enough to supply and cater to the growing demand. We also have sustainability concerns, which are now growing. As we know, consumers are now becoming very concerned about how their food is grown, and they want to know that farmers are utilizing sustainable practices, and they also want to have an idea that throughout the supply chain, those concerns are met. So sustainability becomes a very important issue, and we see it with the ongoing concern regarding issues such as the European Union deforestation regulation, which is affecting a lot of products like coffee and cocoa and meat and edible oils and so on. So innovation plays a very important role there. But it does not come without challenges. And some of the main challenges, or the main challenge I will say, is the costs that are involved with certain innovations. So on one end, an innovation can meet a particular problem, but then now the costs of adopting that become quite significant. So if we go back to the concerns, for example, with the cocoa, like I explained earlier, there is now a drive to ensures traceability throughout the cocoa supply chain. But that is not necessarily practical from a financial standpoint when we go to regions such as West Africa, where most of the cocoa is grown, because inputting those traceability systems is quite challenging from a financial standpoint and from an infrastructure standpoint. So this innovation does come with certain challenges. And then there are also regulatory issues, which we will also get into in the second part of my presentation. So, like I said, when it comes to Tridge, we try and make sure that we are abreast with all these issues as and when they develop. From the time when there's an issue and the innovations, the research and development stage, and we continue monitoring it up until the innovation is available for our stakeholders to be able to partake in, and we try and guide them and let them know how this could be useful for them. So with the intelligence that we provide, for example, these are some of the examples to the right of the slide of some of the insights that we've provided. So you see there's an insight there regarding citrus greening in Brazil, where it's also starting to spread as well, and we were highlighting the innovations there. We are following the functional food market trends as well. And we also have processed food retail reports that we're also working on that will be introduced into the industry very soon, that will be following all the innovations and the trends within that particular industry. So now we move on to the regulatory side of it. And both these issues are partnered together. You cannot focus on one without looking at the other. So moving on, when we look at issues regarding regulation. So first, when we focus on the innovation side, from the idea generation side all the way to the implementation side, there are regulatory hurdles that need to be overcome, from patents to licensing to different types of regulations, until that particular innovation is now utilized within the industry and accepted. So those are things that stakeholders need to be aware of, and they need to be educated as to what they need to actually look into. But then also from a macro point of view, when it comes to agriculture in general, there are a lot of regulatory issues that suppliers and buyers need to be aware of. So for example, we did speak about the EUDR that we spoke about a few minutes ago, and we have been following this issue, and we've been educating our stakeholders, letting them know what to anticipate come December when it comes into effect, and how to react to it, and what they can look forward to coming into 2025, how that's going to affect their bottom line. So it's very important to follow innovations in this regard. So there are challenges, obviously, when it comes to this, because stakeholders need to know how this is going to affect them. And at times, some of the regulations are difficult to meet, and they may also affect productivity. They may more so affect revenue generation. So when it comes back on the Tridge side as well, with our insights, we have been following a lot of regulations and informing our stakeholders. So for example, as you can see here, Boyan wrote a piece on the Chinese food security law and what we can anticipate there, informing our stakeholders on how to react. As you can see, also we've been following the developments in Ivory Coast. Recently, what happened in the US regarding the banning of Mexican avocado imports and so on and so forth. So we're constantly following these developments and informing and educating our stakeholders so that they can develop strategies and be well equipped to then make decisions moving forward. So that's it on my side. Thank you so much for giving me your ear, and I'll pass you back on to Boyan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, MZ. This was very, very insightful from your side and from Tridge's view on innovative trends. I will ask now Sylvester to share his presentation and to start with his part.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody around the world. And thank you, Boyan and MZ, for setting the stage. So I'll take it from here and talk about some few innovations that have been on the side of the processing. So we look at the we look at agriculture in terms of production and processing. So I think this will speak more to the processing side of things. Okay,
Sorry, so can you just go full screen for the presentation?
great. I think I have a little problem. Maybe you could control it from your side by moving it.
Okay, let me. Here it is.
Okay. All right. So our topic is on the sustainable post-harvest processing technologies, and we're also looking at farm-level adoption for dried food commodities in general. And I'll take you through this outline from a backdrop, which is the first part of my presentation through to the conclusion. And the second part, we look at some series of studies we intend to conduct and would make a gentle appeal to you. We will be sharing a survey link quite soon at the end of the presentation, and the appeal is to solicit information from you. So I will kindly appeal that you visit the survey link and give us some of your responses because this will be very great for us. Okay, could we move on, please?
Yes.
All right. Now, the general point is this. If you look at dried food commodities, of course, this includes grains, nuts, pulses, and dried fruit. You cannot emphasize that much of their health impact and their economic impact. For the health impact, you look at the micronutrients, the vitamins, the minerals that these food commodities contain, and how they impact human health. For the economic impact, you also look at the trade volumes, and there are studies to even show that in Australia, you have studies saying that increasing this consumption of grains to 48 grams per day will save the Australian economy about 1.4 billion Australian dollars in health savings cost. But the problem of this value chain for these specific commodities is that they are quite susceptible to pest infestation and, of course, the elephant in the room, climate change, which makes these value chains very inefficient and unsustainable to a large extent. Now, with the issue of pest infestation, you have chemicals or fertilizers, pesticides being used to regulate some of these issues. But in recent years, we have also witnessed some problems with it. First of which is these chemical residues leaching into the food products and causing health problems. Beside the human health problems, you have environmental externalities, pollution of water and air, which in turn is harmful to biodiversity and human health. Then also you have one other problem looking at food quality and consumers not willing to pay for these dried foods because of the chemical residues in them. And so the discussion recently is about, okay, how do we minimize these post-harvest losses at the processing stage? We have moved on from the production to the processing stage. And so the discussion has been around this. Unfortunately, you don't find food processors so much in some of these discussions. And then there is also the need for us to look at, okay, we have tried some of these pesticides, but it is not working. How can we leverage on modern technology to solve some of these issues? So for us, as researchers in TUM, we are looking at how can new technologies help to streamline and improve these value chains when it comes to post-harvest operations. Could we move on?
Yes.
Okay, so to help us answer some of these questions, we have itemized three objectives. First of all, we need to identify some of these technologies we are calling emerging to manage post-harvest. The second objective, we intend to look at the sustainability features of some of these technologies. And when we talk about sustainability features, we are looking at three dimensions. One, the economic, which of course is input saving. How does this technology save time, or how does it save water or energy cost? How does it maximize profit in terms of reducing post-harvest losses? And then the social perspective, where we are looking at the quality and the consumer health. And then we also look at the environmental aspect when you talk about energy saving or even waste management. But studies have also shown that even though some of these technologies have been around for some time, adoption is quite low. And so it becomes relevant to look at some of the critical adoption factors that companies will consider when they are making decisions to adopt some of these technologies. Okay, can we move on? All right. So our findings show that considering emerging technologies, we have identified 10 critical of them. Broadly speaking, they are into two groups: thermal and non-thermal treatment. So thermal is just those technologies that apply heat. For example, microwave and radio frequency, infrared and ohmic heating at the industrial level. So this is, I mean, for microwave, they use the same principles as the microwave you have at home, but these are industrial microwaves, so they are way bigger than what you see at home. And then some of the non-thermal technologies, of course, they don't use heat. So you can see ultraviolet radiation, pulse, electric field ozonation, cold plasma, high pressure processing, and then ultrasound technology. Now, when it comes to the application wise, these technologies are able to disinfest pests. They are able to inactivate microorganisms found in dry foods. They are able to extract bioactive compounds, and then they can also be applied for parboiling or cooking. It is important for us to note that the purpose of using these technologies for food processing is to make the food safer, more nutritious, tastier, and most important, to extend the shelf life of the food product. Okay. So talking about the sustainability features, economic, social, and environmental, we have identified that four technologies play a critical role when we look at economic sustainability. These technologies are ohmic, radio frequency, microwave, and pulse electric field. Concerning social sustainability, six of the technologies work quite well, from infrared, microwave, radio frequency, ultrasound, high pressure processing, and ohmic heating. They are quite critical to ensure sustainability when we look at social dimension, which means that using these technologies are able to cater for the needs when we look at consumer health. And then for the third aspect, which is the environmental sustainability, we have found that cold plasma, ultrasound, microwave, pulse electric field, and ozone are critical for environmental sustainability, which means that these technologies, when you apply them, they are able to manage waste. Looking at the critical factors for adoption, we can categorize them in three groups. The first group is the technological factors themselves. So, what do we mean by that? For instance, before a company adopts a technology, they want to be sure that there is available infrastructure or equipment to support this technology. They are interested in the benefits the technology bring. They also consider quite critical the investment cost of the technology. Another group of factors is the firm characteristics themselves. For instance, you look at firm size, the resources the firm has in terms of human expertise, and then you look at the management of the firm itself. These are some critical factors. A third factor, which is also quite important, is the external factors. And here we are looking at one, government regulation, just as MZ pointed out in his presentation, government regulatory requirements, competition among firms and even suppliers within the value chain, and consumer acceptance, which is quite critical. Now, this tells us that for adoption to be possible, there needs to be some conditions. One, which is quite very relevant, is the company is looking at adopting a certain strategy, comparing the cost and the benefit and doing those analysis. They want to be sure that the benefit outweighs the cost. In that way, they are willing to adopt. A second issue is the end user of the product, the consumer, of course. How does the consumer feel about this technology? And so consumer acceptance is key. You look at technologies like food irradiation. How does the consumer feel about it? And largely, you have negative sentiments from the consumer. Another important condition for adoption is favorable regulations. And so if companies do not feel that regulations from government are favorable to them, they tend to hesitate their adoption decisions. Now, in conclusion, I think we can move to the next slide. In conclusion, we can see that all these 10 technologies, thermal and non-thermal, support pest disinfestation and microbial inactivation. And the good thing about them is that when you compare them to conventional methods, steam boiling or conventional heating, these technologies require a shorter processing time. And one of these implications of a shorter processing time is that it could minimize labor cost and it could also minimize energy costs. As I mentioned earlier, ohmic, radio frequency, pulse electric field, and microwave support economic sustainability. Infrared, microwave, ultraviolet support social sustainability, and cold plasma, ultrasound, microwave, ozone are also effective when we look at the environmental dimension. Okay, can we move on to the next slide? All right, so this has just been a desktop review of what is going on in the innovative technology space when it comes to food processing. And there hasn't been really quantitative issues to look at, okay, what is the weight of even the factors we have talked about when it comes to technological factors or firm related or external factors. And so in our next steps, we seek to conduct a survey that looks at factors that predict the adoption, but we are limiting ourselves to just the dried food space and not the entire food value chain space, but just the dry food space. And we have this survey link. Of course, we will share it in a bit. And we will humbly entreat all individuals or organizations that are here in the food processing space to share their insights with us when you get the survey link. This will help us a lot to extend issues and see what are practical and what are impractical, especially when it comes to the cost and the benefit analysis that relates to the adoption of these technologies. And from us, we intend to share some of these reports with you once you have given us your feedback through the survey. After we have finished our analysis, we intend to share the reports with you so that you are also in the know when it comes to emerging issues within the dried food commodity processing value chain. I think this will be all from me. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Sylvester. Now we're moving on to our part regarding the panel discussions. Just briefly, I already shared a link to your survey, so the participants
That's great.
can open it and begin providing you with insights and data needed for your project. So
That's amazing, Boyan. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvester. Your presentation was very insightful regarding technologies for processed food. This is, I think, what most of the small and medium enterprises are looking for, some new solutions, how to improve their processing procedures, and of course, to enhance the safety of the food as well, looking into sustainability, which is becoming more and more important every day. Thanks once again, Sylvester. So we move on now to the panel discussion. Before the panel discussion starts, I will ask each of the participants to briefly introduce themselves, and we can start answering the questions. Giselle, can you first introduce yourself, then Ore, and afterwards Sylvester?
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Giselle Landaeta. I work at the fulfillment unit as global trading manager in the seafood meats. So my role in Tridge is engaged with companies regarding the seafood sector. Yes.
Thanks, Giselle. Ore, can you please introduce yourself?
Thank you very much for having me today. My name is Orolua Ola, and I'm a researcher at the Technical University of Munich, specifically at the chair of governance in international agribusiness. And our research mainly focuses on food markets and supply chain. We try to understand the extent to which some of the recent changes that is occurring in society, so with regards to technology improvements, with regards to climate change, with regards to government regulations, affect the shape of food value chains and how consumers react to some of the changes that are occurring in these value chains, and also firm strategy in terms of how they decide what to produce and what to bring to the market, and also looking at processors as well, how they react to changes made by actors upstream and downstream in the value chain. Thank you very much for having me in this webinar.
Thanks, Ore. And Sylvester, can you please a little bit? I know you introduced yourself, but I'll expand it a little bit with your previous experience.
All right. Okay. So thank you once again. My name is Sylvester Sadikla, and Ore is my colleague at the chair of governance in international agribusiness. So we look at issues concerning the food value chain, of course, at the production and the processing level, and how regulations from governments affect it, and the need for the sustainability of the value chain. And then we also look at technology adoption and how consumers feel about new foods or novel food that comes from some of these technologies. So in short, that is what we do at the chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvester. Moving on to the first question. So for the first question, what is the most transformative innovation in agriculture today and why? I will ask Giselle to explain her point of view regarding this question. Go ahead, Giselle. You're muted. Sorry, Giselle.
Sorry.
Okay.
So thank you very much. My point of view will be regarding the seafood sector that I'm work with. So the experimentation with technological innovation must be guided by objectives correctly outlined based on the current state of technology that one intends to improve. This underscores the necessity to determine a baseline upon which the extent and impact of the innovation can be measured. If we take this in consideration, it follows that the concept of innovation should be understood also in terms of the margin of improvement that a specific innovation brings relative to the specific situation in which it's introduced, rather how new is this innovation. So this aspect allow us for the first time as well to those technology that are new, and then also the technologies that already exist in order to context. But it's important to know how this technology can be applied. I will talking about the seafood sector, and I divide these innovation technologies in different types. So regarding aquaculture, I divide this type in diversification of farmers species. So the response to climate challenge includes diversifying the species farm to increase the resilience. Also, it's very important to add the offshore facilities, that the implementation of offshore facilities is proposed to address environmental and climate challenges. And there is also these advanced technologies like the use of drones, for example, and the drones are used to inspect farms and analyze water quality, reducing feed waste and improving efficiency. There is also like a new technology that are the wireless sensors that I continuously help you to control environmental conditions of the water, also of the machinery, allowing timely interventions to minimize failures and reduce energy costs. We also have less sustainable practices. In Italy, for example, the Italian model of sustainable aquaculture in pollinates is highlighted, with practices including the use of specific tools and address or has baiting quotas and seabed cleaning. There is also in this innovation through the years regarding packaging that is very important. For example, an Italian company create a zero crate that it's a material named RSPS, that it's 50% recycled material, and it helps to reduce microplastic pollution. It offers storage and transport advantages, lowering cost and improving logistical efficiency. This material is fully recyclable, so it's very important. Also, all the innovations regarding packaging, regarding in this case the seafood sector, but also the seafood processing products. Regarding economic thought and innovation, we have non-repeatable grants. There is like a new non-repeatable grants that are being provided, operated in the agriculture, fishing, and aquaculture sector for the new projects to help increase the productivity. So we also have the focus on technological development. So the main goal in this case is to spread the best available technologies for digital enterprises management, the use of machinery, robotic solutions, sensors, and 4.0 platforms and infrastructure for water saving are reducing also the use of chemicals that are very bad in the seafood industry. So if we analyze these innovations, we can say that aquaculture right now is facing like climate and sustainability challenges with diversification and advanced technologies that can help to increase these practices. Also, regarding, as I mentioned before, regarding innovation of packaging that can contribute to environmental sustainability and logistical efficiency. And also, these innovations regarding seafood sector are based in the economic fund supports that can be innovative on technological projects to increase the productivity and sustainability in the sector. So we have to be aware that in a way to increase these innovations in the seafood sector, we have to be supported by the government and by also economic and regulations that we'll be talking further. In case of seafood processing, I will mention some of the new innovations, technology like HPP, ultrasound, pulse electric field, plasma technologies, pulse light, low voltage, electrostatic field, vacuum cooking, purified condensed smoke, microwave heating that it was mentioned before also. And these technologies offers unique advantage and present specific challenges in the seafood sector. So it's very important to know them. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Giselle. Sylvester, can you share your point of view on this question? Or
Okay. So as we saw earlier, of course, there is the need to embrace some of this innovation that is coming, because the old way of doing business, or the old way of food processing, we would say, has some challenges. It makes the value chain to a large extent inefficient, and is about, are we able to achieve sustainability, not just at the global level, of course, but before we even get to the global level, there is the need for firm level sustainability. Is a firm able to do business in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years? So some of these issues would have to be considered for us to see the need of embracing the innovation that comes with agriculture lately, and looking at the processing technologies, both thermal and non-thermal. There is the need for companies to look at, okay, with their existing infrastructure, which of these technologies are they able to uptake, or which of them are able to improve their efficiency? So I mentioned microwave, I mentioned infrared, radio frequency, and ohmic heating on the thermal side. I mentioned ozonation, ultrasound, PEF, or pulse electric field. It's up to firms to look at the commodities they process. Now, there is an important issue here to note, that these commodities vary in their texture. And so applying heat or applying non-thermal techniques is key. Somewhere in the slide, I mentioned that the thermal technologies seem to work well, or are more suitable when it comes to pest infestation, and when it comes to microbial inactivation, the non-thermal technologies are more suitable. In as much as both um, group of technologies work with these challenges, pest disinfestation and microbial inactivation, it is important for firms to look at what commodity they process and what type of technology is suitable to it. So addressing the need to adopt and move on and be sustainable at the firm level is a critical issue we have to look at. And then on the other side, looking at which technology works best for a company is also worth looking at. That
okay,
would be all from me for now.
thanks, Sylvester. Would you like anything to add, despite this very detailed answer from Sylvester? Ore?
Just a little. Thank you very much, Sylvester and Giselle, for those answers. They were very much insightful and informative. I think from the production side, it is not so easy to point to a specific technology that we could say is transformative. But I think there is a trend towards collecting and sharing data. And that trend makes devices, Internet of Things devices, very important now in the production sector. So basically devices that are fitted with sensors to collect information on key parameters. So, for example, soil quality, the soil temperature, soil humidity, and soil pH, among others. I think in the processing sector, you have IoT devices or sensors now that are able to collect information on humidity as well, and also on carbon dioxide, depending on the activities that are carried out in that particular food value chain. So there's a tendency now to want to collect information to understand what's going on, to detect early on if there are problems in the activities carried out by the stakeholders in specific food value chains, and also to understand how to efficiently utilize some of the resources that they have available, and also the airtime as well. And just to close that a bit, I think I was looking at some of the recent trends in terms of innovations in agriculture, and I stumbled across a particular list of technologies that they consider to be the 10 most impactful technologies in agriculture. So they concern Internet of Things, which is the biggest one, the use of robotics in agriculture to help with activities like harvesting or input spraying on farms. You have artificial intelligence, which helps with forecasting weather, with forecasting prices. We have precision agriculture, which is quite useful for farmers right now to improve yield and efficiently use the resources and inputs that are available to them. We have controlled environment agriculture, which has, so for example, the use of hydroponics and aquaponics. So this controlled environment agriculture, that has useful implications for reducing deforestation, because now you can plant without soil. You only need water. And also it has positive implications for urban farming as well, which is quite useful when we discuss improving dietary diversity or tackling food scarcity. And then we have big data and analytics. We have agricultural biotechnology and regenerative agriculture. So those are the 10 biggest innovations right now in agriculture that are deemed significant, which could provide very valuable and will be useful for us in the future in terms of trying to make agriculture more sustainable and efficient. Thank you very much, Roger.
Thank you, Sylvester. So moving on to the second question, I will ask Giselle just to briefly cover the regulation points. What recent regulatory changes have had the most significant impact on the agriculture sector, and how are businesses adapting in order to move on to the third question, because we are tight on time. Thanks, Giselle.
Yes. Thanks to you. So, regarding this question, I have to say that recent regulatory changes impacting the seafood sector have centered on sustainability, environmental accountability, and also traceability. One significant development in the US Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, the CSRD, which mandates detailed sustainability disclosures from companies, including those in the seafood industry. This regulation aims to enhance transparency and requires companies to set clear environmental targets and transition plans, pushing also for greater accountability in their operations. I think that one of the other impactful regulations is the increased scrutiny on supply chain transparency, particularly in the context of the feed conversion ratios in aquaculture. So this point is very important because, for example, the salmon industry is under pressure to reduce the FCR to improve sustainability. We know that the salmon industry in the aquaculture is very critic. So, as highlighted by leaders at the North Atlantic Seafood Forum. This regulation drives to lower the FCRs, aims to make the industry more efficient and environmental friendly. The FCR is like this radio where you have to calculate the type of feed that you can give to the fish species regarding to the weight of gain. And the seafood sector is also adapting to a strict environmental standard related to fishing practices. This is also includes efforts to reduce bycatch and ensures sustainable fish stock management, driven by both international regulations and consumer demand for responsible sources seafood. In response to these regulatory change, business in the seafood sectors, the companies are right now adopting different strategies. The companies are also investing in new technologies for better traceability and sustainability reporting, such as we can say blockchain for supply chain transparency, and improve also data collection methods for sustainability metrics. We also have to say that there is like a growing emphasis on developing and using sustainable feed alternatives in aquaculture to reduce environmental impact. These adaptations not only help companies with regulation, but also enhance their market competitiveness by aligning with the increases the consumer demand and also for sustainable and transparent food sources. Thank you.
Thank you, Giselle. Once again, I remind our participants that our entire presentation, along with the answers from the panel discussion questions, will be available in 3 business days via email. Moving on to the third question, how can small and medium-sized farms leverage technological advancements to stay competitive with larger agribusinesses? Sylvester, can you please take on first, then we move on to Ore?
Okay. So briefly, since our time is flying, at the production level, I think some of those things that are emerging, you can talk about precision agriculture, as my colleagues already mentioned, MZ mentioned some of this. The use of drones is very important. The use of machine learning is important to be able to predict short-term weather patterns, for planting or for harvesting. These are quite important. The drones to be able to monitor crop health, assess field conditions, or applying inputs. These are key. And then you also want to look at data management in terms of farm management. So there is the need for adopting of, say, softwares like farm management software, where you have the chance to be able to collect data and even simulate some of this data to know the short term, the medium term impacts of input application here and there. So support systems like data analytics is key. You can't rule out social media or digital marketing. And so small firms or medium-sized firms can leverage on some of these tools. Now, we can also look at issues like financial technology solutions or fintech. And so by adopting digital payments, they are able to streamline their transactions when it comes to financial management. But let me point out some challenges that are likely to be in the way. For instance, initial investment. Some of these technologies, because they are novel, the issue about, can the SME adopt it? Are they able to pay the cost of it, the cost of setting up? So some of these are issues. Well, how do we solve it? Could we look at grants? Could we look at subsidies? Could we look at crowdfunding, business to business crowdfunding? These are some issues we may have to look at. And then the issue of technical expertise. Some of these tools or new technologies, require some high level of expertise. Even though you don't need too much labor, you may maybe in a small, in an SME, you may just need 1 or 2 people who are well skilled to use some of these technologies. And so the issue of expertise is key. And how do we solve some of this? We could resort to, say, training and education. Some of this training could be partnerships with research institutions. I think we at TUM, we are open to some of these things as we are we are doing now. And then the third challenge, my final one, will be issues on data security. Now, once you are embodying a farm management software, then the issue of, okay, how do you manage this to stay safe in the space of hacking and data security, somebody taking your data and all of that is important. And policy recommendations like the EU GDPR, is critical for some of these things. Thank you.
Thank you, Sylvester. Ore, would you like to elaborate on this question?
Yeah, so I think Sylvester already touched on just about every point to talk about. Thank you very much for that very extensive answer, Sylvester.
Yeah.
Maybe one thing I would add to that is the issue of adoption and using these technologies is indeed a problem or an issue for small businesses due to their high investment costs. And all the solutions that Sylvester mentioned works in the sense of providing access to some of these innovative tools for farmers. Maybe one other thing to add to that is cooperatives could also play a big role. I think in Europe, in France, in Greece, we have cooperatives that help smallholder farmers gain access to precision farming tools like drones that they use to monitor their fields and to collect information on key parameters that are very relevant to their production. So cooperatives, they are usually tied to traditional forms of farming, but they still have a very key role to play in ensuring that the resources that small businesses and small farms need to be able to gain access to new technology, the training and the technical advice that they need to be able to use these technologies are things that could be provided by the cooperative. So the cooperative still plays a very big role in ensuring that they gain access to these technologies. Thank you.
Thanks, Ore. Finally, Giselle, you have the honor to close the panel discussions with the answer for the third question.
Thank you very much. So, as you know, I will be mentioned regarding the seafood sector and how can the small and medium-sized seafood companies leverage technological advancements to stay also competitive. So, I think I divide some advices for the companies. For example, the automation and robotics. So they have to make improve the efficiency. They have to implement automated sorting, grading, and packaging system to increase the operational efficiency and also to help to reduce labor costs. They have also in the aquaculture part, they have to be very precise. They have to use, if it's possible, robotic system for feeding, cleaning, and monitoring aquaculture environment to ensure an optimal condition and reduce the waste. They also can help their company with data analytics and also the Internet of Things with an environmental monitoring using devices to monitor water quality, temperature, and other environmental factors in the real time, in the moment, and that can allows them for a quick adjustment if there is necessary to maintain the water conditions. Also, the implementation of data analytics to track and predict trends in the fish health, growth rates, and market demand. And that's part that, for example, Tridge do, providing services to companies to be currently informed about, the analytics, the trend market in the seafood sector, but also in the agriculture sector. Also, it could also help practices sustainability as resource management, and also be aware of all the type of certification and traceability. And they can also use blockchain technology to enhance traceability and ensure that products meet all the standards, which can attract eco-conscious consumer market. Also, the digital market and e-commerce, you have to be presence, you have to be online presence, developing a strong online presence through, websites, social media, and e-commerce platforms to also reach a wider consumer basis and increase the sales channels. Also, like customer engagement, you can also use digital marketing tools to engage with new customers, to provide personalized services and gather feedback to continue the improvement. Also, share resources, innovation hubs, participate in innovation hubs and clusters that foster collaboration and provide access to the new technologies. So, if these small medium companies can adopt this technological advancement, it will be very important because they can enhance their productivity, the sustainability, and market reach, allowing them to compete, to be more competitive with the larger companies in the world. So it's very important. Also, as I mentioned before, adoption advances technology, be very transparent in the supply chain control, the efficiency and the sustainability. And also on another, and but not in, last but not important, the importance of health. The health has become a determining factor in the lives. Regarding the seafood sector, there is a lot of fish consumption, and there is a lot of health awareness also after COVID-19 pandemic, which highlighted the importance of healthy lifestyle. So there is like increased interest in a diet regarding also seafood. Also all the globalization of taste, all the seafood phenomenon regarding the new market, the new restaurant that can offer the fish. So the company have to have the challenges to be very active in this sector to be very competitive with the other ones. That's the new path for this year and also the next year. Thank you.
Thanks, Giselle. If all the speakers agree, we should extend time a little bit to answer some of the questions from the live chat section. So we will move on to the Q&A section. We had one interesting question related to the Sylvester's presentation, but I will ask Ore to answer on how any thermal processes technology won't introduce or diminish the nutritional values of the agriculture products. The question from Temitope Ogunduyi.
Thank you very much for that question, Temitope Ogunduyi. That's true. If you, at certain temperature levels, the possibility to diminish the nutritional content of food products is quite high. And this is why, as we mentioned during the panel discussion, the Internet of Things is quite important right now. There are sensors that we can attach or fix to devices that helps us to monitor what is going on during post-harvest processes. So for example, for a technology on the research that we worked on, we have sensors that are fitted into the rooms where post-harvest processing occurs using heat. And based on prior research from the lab, they were able to establish certain temperature thresholds that helps the stakeholders to achieve their objective, which in this case was to disinfect the food products of insects, but also while retaining the nutritional quality of the food products. So we know the exact temperature levels that we need to expose the food products to. And with sensors in the room monitoring the process, it is easy to understand and identify when we've been able to achieve our goal without diminishing the nutritional content or attributes of the food products. So again, this also highlights an important issue, an important role that new technology plays in food post-harvest processing and activities.
Thank you, Ore. We had also one more question from the chat section related maybe to MZ. MZ, we have a question from Xitu Aloysius. Can you talk about more about market information system in rural areas with limited technology.
Okay, thank you, Boyan, and thank you, Kisitu, for the question. So I think when it comes to rural areas, it becomes very case specific because in different countries there are different systems that are in place. But I would possibly advise those who are situated in those types of locations to first look to what systems you have around you. So there could be, for example, industry regulators within that particular country. So if we look at, let's say, maybe Ivory Coast, I'll use the cocoa industry as an example. There is the CCC, which regulates all industry-related issues, and that also includes information dissemination to all the small and medium-scale farmers in the rural areas. So that would be the first point of contact to try and see what information you can gather there, and what types of events and meetings and gatherings and so on and so forth that they have, and attend those within your locality to gather that information. Secondarily, you also have associations in different countries that do attend to farmers in these types of areas. So if I look at South Africa as an example, there is the CGA, the Citrus Growers Association, and they basically create a lot of events, a lot of programs for farmers throughout the country, and they keep them informed as to what is happening within the industry, be it regulations, be it certain trends that they need to pay attention to, and they offer supportive elements to those members of that association. So I would go to industry regulators, associations, and then also at Tridge, we are willing to partner with anyone from different industries. So please reach out to us when Boyan sends the slide. Our contact information is there. You can reach out to us, and then we can look for also more innovative ways for us to spread more information to people who are not able to access it.
Thanks, MZ. Finally, regarding this is not a question, but this is a suggestion or an overview of colleagues from Ore and Silvestre. Payam Torabi wanted to mention his related research on the impact of different pre-treatments on dyeing kinetics and quality of button mushroom slices. He found that electrohydrodynamic dyeing combined with, I think it's drying, maybe it's a typo, yes, drying, combined with specific pre-treatments significantly enhance drying efficiency and preserves mushroom quality compared to traditional methods. So I think this is also confirmation from your side, Silvestre and Ore, regarding this project.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah. I agree to that. So I talked about some of these technologies in isolation, but there are a combination of these technologies that also increase efficiency. For instance, you could apply microwave with hot air. And what happens is that it increases the circulation efficiency around the food product, and so you are able to generate a uniform temperature throughout the food commodity internally and externally. And so if he's talking about butter mushrooms and the fact that applying hot air with a certain technology you mentioned is increasing efficiency, we have also seen that on our side when it comes to dried food commodities. So I strongly agree with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Silvestre. Thank you, everyone. I will just briefly close up the webinar with our banner services. On a final note, we like to emphasize on the standard services here at Tridge regarding platform and newsletter advertising. It's a really great way to get direct access to over 230K monthly Tridge.com users, as well as our newsletter subscriber base. We have many suppliers, importers, wholesalers, retailers, and institutes, and other notable institutions in the food business actively using Tridge. So it's a powerful channel to reach these types of profiles. If this sounds interesting, we'll be sending this presentation to you later, so you can contact our sales team for more information using the link provided. Once again, thank you everyone for joining the webinar, for participating. Thank you, Sylvester and Nore, for insightful information about the project. We are looking forward to the completion of the project and sharing, maybe possibly with us in the third webinar, the results of your research. And also thank you, MZ, for a great presentation, and Giselle for insights regarding aquaculture. This was all regarding the webinar. Thank you once again all for participating, joining. Have a nice day.
Thanks to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.